Hi, my name is Elsie. I'm an alcoholic. Diane, so awesome to see you and so great to hear you. That was a great treat. So, Donna, I love to tell this story. Donna is the only sponsee, and I have a few sponsees. Donna is the only sponsee that basically had me interview like a job interview to be her sponsor. She really, we met and she asked me the questions. It was something. But anyways, she accepted me. She hired me, and I think I've been paid way, way more than I was worth. Donna, there used to be a meeting at my house, at my old house that we had, and it was a women's meeting, and it had babysitting, and there was just a lot of women that came, and Donna was really responsible for a lot of those women. Donna used to go to the Res 12 meeting, and she'd get those young girls that had kids and say, hey, I know where you can go, where there's babysitting. So she brought so many newcomers to that meeting. She was just such a blessing. And she's continued, to stay sober and live her life. And I'll let her tell you about her life. But I'm just so happy and pleased that she agreed to share tonight.
Did she do okay?
Yeah, of course she had to tell you about interviewing her. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Donna, and I'm an alcoholic. And she just told me to tell the truth. So I'd love to tell you that I'm having hot flashes, but the truth is I have rosacea, and when I get nervous, my face turns red. So, fan. Dollar store best invention ever, women. And men. Hi, my name's Donna. I'm an alcoholic. And it's my birthday month. So there's been a lot of reflection this month. My sobriety date is 9/19/1988. So I'm 36 years sober this month, and nobody is more surprised than me. Especially that I lived this long. That's another thing Astra used to say to me, just don't die and don't drink and you'll have time. I was born to two alcoholics and in a family of a lot of alcoholics, and it was normal. It was just normal. That was life. There was no question. There was no weirdness. We didn't even wonder how come everybody acted the way they did. It was either you were an Al-Anon or you were an alcoholic. And to me, the alcoholics looked way more exciting. So I can't tell you the first time I took a drink, as far as a memory of that. I know that I ran around at parties as a little girl saying, can I have a drink? Can I have a drink? And nobody thought anything of it. And I took drinks. There's no big stories of that I was found passed out or anything like that. I can tell you the first time I took every drug I took. I can tell you the first time I smoked a cigarette. I cannot tell you the first time I drank and got drunk. I do not remember. I can tell you that at 13 years old, I was already having all the symptoms of alcoholism. I was a blackout drinker in my teens. And oh my God. So like I said, there's been a lot of memories this month. I just had this one. There used to be a Tupperware container that was shaped like this. And I would take my parents' half gallons and I would mix 5 different kinds of booze together, fill it up, dump it out my window, or drop it out my window. And then we'd all go have a bonfire. And, I had this much diet pop from my mom's house, from our house, and the rest was all booze, those 5 different kinds of booze. That's how I drank from the get. And, lots of embarrassing stories, lots and lots and lots. But we didn't think it was embarrassing. I hung out with us. It was funny, and the next day when, people would tell us what we did, we all laughed, and there were lots and lots and lots of stories. Um, I did that for almost 10 years, you know, and in my teens, we all thought that was funny. In my early 20s, and I would change friends. You know, people talk about doing geographicals. I didn't do geographicals. I just changed groups of friends. So and I always hung out with people like me. So as my disease progressed, so did the group of people that I was hanging out with, because I like to compare. Oh, I'm not as bad as them, you know. And so, yeah, it was just I'm just so grateful right now at the moment, just so you know that. But and it's sad. I have children who've never seen their mom drink, and I've looked at their ages, at the ages I did things, and went, "Holy crap! I was a little kid," you know. Anyway, um, in my early 20s, I people started like, you know, getting careers and going to college and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't doing that. I worked to have money to go to the bar. I, like Diane, needed to do it all myself. So I had to have my own money, you know, and I didn't want to depend on other people and stuff. So that's exactly what I did. I worked to have money to go party. I still lived at my parents' house, and the last probably 3 years of my drinking, things started to get worse. And there was a year I couldn't keep jobs. During that year, I didn't open anything that looked like a bill. I threw it all in a paper bag, and it's just like, oh, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. Um, hung out with people. I lost friends because they were seeing what was happening with me, and they just couldn't. They just couldn't keep hanging out. Um, my mom got DWI, they were called at the time, in Seattle, and she pleaded guilty and ended up in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. And she started praying for me to get one. And I got one. And then I called her up and I said, I need to talk to you in person. I got what I wanted from my mom. She always let me do everything I wanted to do. So, when I needed to have a serious conversation with her, I needed to do it in person. So she started guessing on the phone. The first one was, you lost your job. And I was like, no. And the second one was, you got a DWI. And I said, yes. And she was happy about this, and I was pissed. And I never once, you guys, thought I had a problem. It never crossed my mind. It didn't, I didn't hang out with people who talked about, we have a problem. So I was not happy about this. My grandfather was also Seattle PD, and he pretty much raised me because my dad couldn't be around. Even though my dad came in and out of these rooms for years and could recite that big book from one end to the other, and couldn't stay sober. Diane read something about half measures, and I asked somebody once, how come I'm staying sober and my dad isn't? And a good friend of his said, because he's not willing to go to any lengths, and so anyway, first DWI was really embarrassing, and it was in a blackout. And I came out of that blackout with a police officer knocking on my window asking me if I knew what I hit. I was covered in blood. Front end of my car was wrecked, and I was not at the location of what I hit. And I didn't know what I hit, and I didn't know what to say to the cop either, because I had spent a lifetime getting myself out of trouble, and I didn't know what to say. And so I called somebody and said, come to the scene and help me, and they did. And so that DWI was going through the courts, and 4 months later, I got a second one. And this one, I fought the cops in a blackout. I have no memory of it. And remember, I grew up with a cop as a grandfather and all that kind of stuff. And, I was really respectful and I knew better. I knew when to back out of things. And obviously this night I didn't, because when I woke up the next morning, I was bruised from shoulder to fingertips. And I didn't know what had happened to me. And it was from me slipping out of the handcuffs, kicking people, kicking officers, and being grabbed. You know, they weren't grabbed, they were just trying to hold me up. So it was like, yeah, it was. I read that in a police report and got told it. And that look in the mornings when you didn't remember things, that look of, I can't believe you don't remember this, was starting to get old. I used to not want the phone calls anymore that told me the stupid stuff I did the night before. So, I was afraid of jail because my mom had said, if you go to jail, I will have your grandfather come get you. And, I was just like, leave me there. Actually, she started telling me that as a teenager about juvie. So, I did not want to go to jail. I know now if I'd gone, it would have just been the first of probably many because of the fear would have been gone. But I had that fear. And so I started going through the court systems. My grandfather didn't know he was still alive. He died the year I was going through the court. It took over a year to get these two DWIs through the court system because my attorney kept putting continuances on it. And was I trying to stay sober? No, I still didn't think I had a problem. So I was just trying to stay out of trouble. So yeah, I wasn't trying to stay sober yet. But once they got through, I came out of that smiling like roses. It was really hard to tell the judge that nobody found what I hit. He asked if I made restitution for what I hit, and nobody found it. So I had to tell him, no, nobody found. We don't know what I hit. That was embarrassing. I still didn't think I had a problem, you guys. It blows my mind today, but I still didn't think I had a problem. And I went to outpatient. I was doing all the court stuff. I didn't have to have a slip signed, so I really wasn't going to meetings. I probably was saying I was going to meetings. My mom did take me to a meeting. It was the 12 and 12 above Murphy's in Bothell. And she told me it was an hour-long meeting. I went to get her off my back. And when it wasn't over in an hour, I was mad. And the other thing is, you guys all talked about drinking. That's all I heard about was drinking. And I just couldn't wait to leave so I could go have a drink. And I heard all the differences. I don't look like that. I don't sound like that. I didn't have that happen, And I'm 23 years old. Well, maybe 22 at this point. But I didn't like AA, and I didn't want to be here. And I didn't think I needed to be in it, and all that. So all the court stuff got wrapped up, and I had to go to intensive outpatient treatment. And so I was going, and I was trying. At this point, I started trying to not drink, and I was going to work, and I was going to the bar trying not to drink because he was there. And so. That didn't work. I couldn't do it. I couldn't not drink. And then I got mad. I'd always had fun. All those years of blackouts and all those stories and all that ridiculousness were fun to me. And so I was mad. I was mad because I was trying not to drink and I couldn't not do it. And so I started that, hence the fighting with the police officers and my whole attitude changing. It wasn't fun anymore. I wasn't having fun, but I couldn't not do it. And so in that intensive outpatient treatment place, they drug tested me one day, and it came back dirty. And I did what any respectful alcoholic would do. I told them that their test was full of shit, that it wasn't true. And, what, that's wrong. And within a half an hour, I was telling the truth. So then they have this meeting and they decide what they should do with me. Should I go back to the court and go to jail, or should they make a different recommendation? Well, I had seen them let people start over. So I'm just like, I'm going to get to start over. And my mom was like, yeah, I'll come with you and I'll back you up and stuff like that. And we had the meeting, and the meeting was, we think you should go to inpatient treatment with all women. and no guys in the picture at all. And I was just like, what? And my mom's like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And once again, I was really mad. And but I didn't want to go to jail, and I still didn't think I had a problem. But I would jump through the hoops to stay out of jail. So I sat in front of Res 12 in my mom's car the day I was supposed to be going in. And I said, please don't make me go in there. And she said, when you come out, if you drink, you don't have a place to live. And my mom made a lot of empty threats, but I knew when she was serious, and this was one of them, and I was 23 years old. And I didn't want to go in there. And just so you know, a few weeks ago, a woman that befriended me, that when I walked in there, reminded me how angry I was when I got there. And I was, you guys, I was angry. I felt like they were taking 30 days out of my life. And I was really pissed. And for the first 7 days, you can't talk to anybody outside of that place. And that was upsetting. And I was scared. I know now that I was scared, but I couldn't admit that to myself, let alone anybody else. So I walked in there with an attitude. And most people wouldn't come anywhere near me. And she did. She befriended me. And she wished me happy birthday a week ago and said, yeah, you were really angry. I said, yeah, but the truth is I was really scared. I was just really scared. And 3 days in, I admitted I was an alcoholic. And for those of you in this room who know what that surrender feels like, it was like this huge weight off my shoulders. It was like there is an answer to why my life is so messed up. And when I came in, I said fuck 3 times in every sentence and chain smoked at the meetings. So today I don't do that. I only say fuck every once in a while for emphasis. I still like the word. And I don't smoke anymore. But that place promoted AA. That place took the women to meetings and did like the first 3 steps there, although I did those again with a sponsor right after. And we went to Lake Hills, went to meetings on the east side. I went to Lake Hills and there was this, suggested you get a sponsor. There's this woman there that I wanted to ask, but I was too afraid. And so the next week I finally, asked her. And a few months later at a birthday meeting or something, she told people that she didn't sponsor women in AA, but she said yes to me that day because she saw how scared I was. If she'd said no, I don't know that I'd be here, to tell you the truth. She took me through the steps after I got out of Res 12. I didn't want to go in. I didn't want to leave. When it was time to leave Res 12, I asked them if I could stay longer because I didn't know how, at 23 years old, I didn't know how to do life without booze and drugs. They let you go on these one-day things where you go out in the world, but you got to go to a meeting during that 8 hours. I went into a grocery store, which is mostly my career. I went into a grocery store and I was so overwhelmed and I was so like, I don't know how to do this. I can't do this. Sitting in that meeting that day during that 8 hours was the best I felt the whole, So I didn't want to leave Res 12 when it was time to go. I was afraid. And they said, you're ready. I almost left one day because a girl pissed me off and I was going to leave. And, thankfully people talked to me before I left. And it was, stupid what I was mad for and what I was willing to risk jail. So that is what it was like. That is what happened. I've been sober for 36 years now, and that blows my freaking mind. I came in. I came in September into Res 12. I was out of Res 12 in October. By November, I was getting bored and afraid. I had a sponsor. I was beginning to work the steps. I was going to a ton of meetings, even women's meetings, and I was getting bored, and I knew I would get in trouble if I got bored, And so I said that in a meeting. I openly said I'm getting bored, and this young group of people, just scooped me up And we started going to meetings together. They were really serious about working a 12-step program, and they were serious about having fun in sobriety. They saved my life. Um, I danced sober. So this is the kind of mixed up thinking I have. I've been thinking about these, differences this month. I didn't dance when I was drinking because I was afraid of how I would look. I danced sober. Um, yeah, afraid of how I would look as I'm bouncing off walls and throwing up, and my makeup's running down my face and all that. Yeah. Um, I just had a blast, you guys. I got sober and had a blast, and I worked the program, and I was serious about it. That particular sponsor had to let me go because she needed to take care of some responsibilities and leave the state, and she knew I needed way more attention than if she was out of state. So I got a second sponsor, and that second sponsor was this bubbly, blonde-haired, pigtail woman, and I was just like, oh my God, that's not who I asked, but it was who was recommended I asked. And I also only wore black, and today I wear some color. Actually, wear more color than this usually, but because of her. She talked to me about it's okay to wear color. I had to have people help me dress. It's crazy. And I thought I had a life, and I just, yeah. Anyway, she moved away, and I got a third sponsor. And she was amazing also. Each sponsor that I've had has known the big book that much better, has taken me through the steps further and more in depth. She moved. Actually, I should back up and say each one of them also gave me an amazing piece of information. And that particular sponsor looked at the relationships I was having and said, did you do a thorough sex inventory on your 4th step? And I said, yeah, I talked about the 4 people I loved. She said, oh no. So we did that. And honestly, things started to change in my relationships and my whole perspective, and stuff like that. I realized I was doing the same thing my mom did. I just didn't marry him or have kids with him yet. So, things started to change, and I'm so and I'm so grateful for that. She moved, and then I asked another woman who said, I'm too good of a friend of yours, Donna. I'm not sponsoring you. I suggest Austri. And the reason I interviewed Austri, I have an excuse for this, is I had great sponsorship prior to Austri, and I had heard horror stories. I had heard horror stories of people going through stuff with sponsorship, and I didn't want that to happen, so I interviewed her, and it went great. And honestly, I got married in this program to a wonderful person. I had to do therapy to learn how to be in a healthy relationship because I didn't know how. I was walking home from the 449 Club one night, pissed off at him, and realizing I didn't want to act like I was acting, but I didn't know how not to. Just like I didn't know how to live life without booze and drugs, So I needed some outside help, and I got it, Got together with this man and got married. We spent 17 and a half years together and had 3 beautiful children. I also got divorced in this program, and the same therapist that helped me get married also helped me walk through the divorce. And we had a cordial divorce and still talk about our 3 kids. And I'm grateful for that. And he's in Montana, and I came back home. Oh, that's another thing. I moved to Montana and became a farmer's wife. I tell you what, I'm blown away at my life. And the biggest thing, though, is I've had a life. I thought I had a life when I was out there drinking and drugging and running and gunning and lying and cheating and doing all that kind of stuff. And I look back and, my perspective of what was fun was pretty sick. And it wasn't a life. I went to work, I got fucked up, and I paid the consequences, and so did anybody whose life I touched, My children, I'm the first generation in my family that my children have not seen their mom drunk. You know, my oldest grew up very immersed in the program. The twins, not as much because of where we lived and circumstances, but none of them have seen their mom take a drug or drink, and I'm so grateful for that. I've wanted to stay a part of this because I want it available to them if they ever need it. You know, I question, but I don't know for sure. They are very private, like their father. You know, my 3 kids are private and their father is private, and they all are involved with me. I'm not so private. Don't keep secrets. Somebody asked, I'm writing on a 4-step right now, and it asked, what secrets do you have? And I'm like, none, which is amazing. It's fantastic. You know, I'm my birthday, my AA birthday's in September. My belly button birthday's in March. For years, my AA in sobriety, my AA birthday was more important to me. Today, I celebrate them both because I didn't think I'd live this long. I'm going to be 60 in March, and that blows my freaking mind, right? I mean, it's like, holy crap. My goal was 21. That was my goal. Then I wanted to become a vampire, and I'm totally serious, you guys. You know, so and 22 blew by, and at 23 I was the most depressed I'd ever been at a birthday because I was like, it's not going to stop, you know. And one thing I didn't share, I have Crohn's disease, and I've had it since I was 17 years old. That last year of my drinking, I was in the bathroom every single morning, rocking in pain and losing blood. When I say I wouldn't be here today, I pretty much probably wouldn't be here unless I was on a lot of medication, and Crohn's and alcohol just don't go together. And the first word out of my mouth every single morning when I got up that last year was shit. Oh shit. That's my favorite swear word. But it was literally, that's how I woke up at 22 to 23 years old. And I'm just, yeah. So I've just been thinking about, you know, I was angry and scared when I went into Res 12. I have anxiety and fear today, but I'm not angry, and I'm really happy. For the most part, most of you that know me, I love to laugh. I love hugs. You know, this program's great for that. I love my life. I really do. My kids are, I was going to say they're grown. They're really not, but I'm worried about my 20-year-olds, and honestly, but I look at what I was doing at 20, and I was just like, you know, not as worried about them. They'll figure it out, you know. They've not just got me, they've got all of you. I was in college in my 40s. I went back to school. I schemed and scammed my way through high school. I did. I really did. I got this early education diploma that was set up for the veterans, and yeah. So I schemed and scammed my way through high school at 17, but I went back to college in my 40s and got an AA degree. You know, but while I was in college, I was talking to a counselor there, and she said, "Do you have support?" You know, and she was talking about as a single mom of 3 kids and going to college and all that kind of stuff. And I thought of AA, and I looked at her and I said, I have the biggest support group in the whole wide world. And I do. So, yeah, I may not make it the next 3 minutes because I'm going to start crying, but I can't tell you how grateful I am for my life. And for everybody that has been a part of it, and everybody who's here, and especially the women in AA who I hated when I got here. So thank you.